right, everybody, I would want to welcome you tonight for coming. Ah. Thank you so much. Just to let you know, this is going to be recorded so people can view it later. I just went to, this is such an exciting night for Tempe, for your family, and most of all for your child. I'm Jen Whittington, and I am the principal at Meyer Montessori. So welcome. Tonight we are going to talk about what Meyer Montessori considered the children's house. So the children's house offers a multi-age experience. Together, where children, they build a sense of community as they learn together, they construct together, and where the older kids become leaders for the younger students in the classroom. Learning happens through a multi-sensory approach where children are able to construct their learning, manipulate their learning, and learn in the most natural learning environment. Teachers, or as we call them, guides or facilitators, they plan and organize lessons that are individualized based on the needs of individual students, what their social needs are, their academic needs. We believe in nurturing and teaching the whole child. Students construct their learning and plan their academic day based on social, academic, and developmental needs. Instructional guides provide one-on-one instruction based on the progression of each student. Now we're going to talk about the environment or the living room for children. Children learn in a prepared environment that the environment nurtures the child, and they learn in the most organic, natural way. Instruction occurs or is designed around practical life experiences. We have sensorial, language, mathematic, and cultural studies. This is a time, so children, they will have within our school, they will have a 3-hour learning block in the morning and a 2-hour block in the afternoon. So as you can see, it's quite intensive because our kiddos are going to be 3, 4, and 5 years old. Within that time, we are going to have Spanish integrated in throughout the day, and students will be able to come from being non-disciplined to discipline as they increase their concentration, their independence, and focusing at tasks on hand. I'm going to show you a quick a video clip of how we nurture the child and what a typical day might look like. Chris, I'm ready for the video.
I know that I always had fun with the things that I was doing. We were doing things that had academic aspects to them, but I never felt like I was just doing work. Because all the activities were so hands-on, and you were building things and playing with things and manipulating materials. So I knew that I was learning, but I was having a good time doing it.
It's easier to do things with things that you could feel and you could see than having to do everything in your head.
As a preschooler, it's definitely choice-oriented. It was fun to be able to go and choose works off the shelf, you know, whether it's something to do with geometry, they had rectangular prisms to work with, or fine motor skills with the art shelf, or everyday living where you could practice pouring, and you don't know necessarily that you're learning things. There were just lots of very engaging activities to take part in, and it's fun.
I think it just comes from the Montessori teaching of follow the child and the whole community aspect, as like we all obtain success together.
My mom and dad are always saying how they wish they had learned like I did. They really like the part where you could progress at your own pace, the hands-on learning, because they said what they got a chalkboard and a piece of chalk.
It doesn't take long to realize a Montessori classroom is different from most other classrooms. The children are actively engaged, working independently. A closer look reveals each child is involved in working with hands-on materials that stimulate all of his or her senses. Materials that communicate complex concepts in a concrete way. Montessori materials are carefully sequenced so that each activity has an orderly and logical process to follow. This allows children to organize their thinking and problem-solving skills in a clear way, and to absorb this knowledge through their senses. All the materials in a Montessori classroom are organized into one of 5 curriculum areas: practical life, sensorial, language, math, and cultural.
I'd have a little rug on the floor and I'd go get my math assignment and bring it to the rug, and when I was done I'd clean it up and put it back. Or if I wanted to go eat snack, I'd go to the sink and wash my hands and get my snack and then brush my teeth. And it wasn't just sitting in a class learning, it was functioning and learning how to function as a grown-up person, not just a 3-year-old.
Small children have many life skills that they need to learn to achieve independence. Respecting a child's desire to be independent is a cornerstone of Montessori philosophy. Children develop a sense of pride when they're able to do things for themselves.
Part of becoming independent learners is taking responsibility for themselves and the classroom environment. Each child learns to take responsibility for their own belongings and to master the skills of taking care of him or herself. Children also feel secure in the knowledge that they can find the materials they wish to work with neatly stored in a particular spot in the classroom. They are, in turn, responsible to put the materials back where they found them and to clean up after themselves. If another child is using the materials a child is interested in, he or she learns to wait patiently, respecting the rights of others.
In Montessori, they have works like that test your senses. Like there was this one that it had a little dropper, and one liquid was like sour, one was sweet, one was bitter. I loved it.
Maria Montessori was one of the first educators to recognize that children learn best when they are engaged in hands-on activities. She believed that children need to move freely in their environment and to investigate whatever interests them. For these reasons, Montessori insisted that the classroom be beautiful. Through this freedom, the child becomes more comfortable, taking the time to contemplate all aspects of an activity: the feel, the visual appearance, the sound of the materials, even the smell. This curiosity to explore the sensual world around them is part of what makes learning fun. The children enjoy the process over the product.
So now you saw what it looks like and feel like to be in a Montessori room. Now we're going to shift to what it's going to look at Meyer Montessori, phase 1 of Meyer Montessori. We are going to start with 3 primary classrooms, which will have 3 to 6-year-olds. We are requesting that parents or parents per family, the expectation is they volunteer 10 hours a year, which would include, it can be parent education nights, it could include going out or field trips, or it could be sharing your expertise around the campus. Each classroom within the 26 kids, we're going to have 8 kids who are 3, 8 who are 4, and 10 who are 5. And then within the classroom, we're going to balance the gender of 13 children who are boys and 13 who are girls, And then throughout the day, we'll also have a Spanish integration teacher. Our future goal is we are going to go to 6th grade. So each year, we're going to add on a grade level. So school will start on August 7th and it will end in May. Our hours are going to be 7:50 to 2:50 p.m. and lunch is going to be at 11:30. Kids Zone will be available if your family needs it for after school, and that will be available from 2:50 to 6 o'clock p.m., and that will be an additional charge if your family chooses to do that. Next, and I know this is the big thing that everybody's here for, the registration is going to be March 1st, and it's going to happen right here in this room. Doors are going to open at 8 o'clock a.m. and close at 4 o'clock. That day, everybody will receive a number. The number you receive doesn't guarantee your spot, but is your number to register for that day. If registration is turned in after March 1st, everything is going to be stamped and time dated. And then families, you will know by March 17th on whether or not your child will be placed in a classroom or on the waiting list for the 2017-2018 school year. So the priority of placement for admission. First, we're going to look at the children who live in the Meyer neighborhood, which is located between Broadway and Southern and McClintock and Rural. Second, we are going to open it up to district employees. Third, we are going to, all other children will be considered based on availability of age and gender, because as we know, we want to keep that balance for social purposes in the classroom. Once we reach capacity, all students will be placed on a waiting list. Next, tuition and fees. If you have a child in kindergarten through 6th grade, it's free of charge because we are a public school. For preschool children, 3 and 4 years old, it's going to be $400 a month or $4,000 a year. So within that, you will pay in 10 equal installments, and payment will be due the 15th of every month. However, for any reason, if your payment has to be returned, or if it's 15 days past the due date, you will be charged a $15 charge for that, and that will be added on to the next month's tuition. And so you will pay a month ahead. So if you are placed in a classroom, your first payment is going to be due July 15th. And the payment includes, for the preschool children, it includes breakfast, lunch, and snack. So, and as we know, our kiddos, they are working. It's a very intense day of concentration. It's a very intense day of work, as they're working a 3-hour block in the morning, a 2-hour block in the afternoon. So it's critical that your child get picked up on time. If they are not picked up on time, it's going to be a $15 charge for the first 5 to 15 minutes late, and then we will charge again for the next additional 15 minutes. And again, that will be added on to the next month's tuition. And we are going to request each quarter, if your child is picked up late 3 times in a quarter, we are going to request that you sign them up for Kids Zone. We have Kids Zone back there, so they will be available after the meeting, or we ask that you will sign them up for a child care facility that works for you and your family. So here are some frequently asked questions. Can Montessori accommodate gifted children as well as special ed? So we believe that all children are gifted, and everybody comes with their own unique strengths. And because of the multi-age setting, kids are able to progress and learn at their individual rate and speed. And because our teachers, they individualize instruction based on the academic, social, and developmental needs of the child. Second, do Montessori teachers follow a curriculum? They do. It's based upon practical life skills, sensorial, mathematics, language, as well as cultural studies. And everything is based one-on-one. It's based on the needs and progression of each child, as well as, and oftentimes you might see a small group as well. Just, we believe in doing what's best for all kids. Next, do Montessori children take district and state assessments? We do, because we are a public school. So that's something that we do have to do. Next, do Montessori children learn the same standards and skills as children who attend school in a traditional setting? The same standards and skills are taught. The difference is the method, where we, our instructional guides, everything is one-on-one, and it's based upon the progression and needs of each student in the classroom. So this is what I have tonight, but I do have a couple of my instructional guides here that I want to introduce you to. We have Haley Robling, come on up. Just or wave, you can wave, whichever. And then we also have Misty Kalik. And we are working so hard to find the most qualified people. And I'm so excited to have them be a part of our team. So thank you for being here tonight. We are gonna shift to questions. I'm here to answer any questions, or my team can have questions. So whatever I can answer, shoot away. Remember I said no.
So when you get...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Oh, sorry. So when you get into first grade, are you going to have, are you also looking at having 3 lower L classrooms the
Great
following
question.
year?
Great question. Our next goal in the next phase is to do 6 to 9 years old. But we have to look at availability of kids. We have to, find, again, we're super picky. We're finding the very best people. So yes, that is in our phase 2. Absolutely.
Thank you.
2 questions. The first, are the guides also trained in traditional teaching methods, as in did they go to get a 4-year degree at a college? And 2, how many guides per classroom?
Great question. Everybody has an Arizona. Oh, I have a microphone. I don't need that. I'm trying to grab both. Everybody has is certified. They have an Arizona State certification, or they have an early childhood certification, as well as a Montessori certification. So they are a specialized group of people. That's why it's so hard to find them, and we find them, we want to keep them. So, and what was your second question?
How many per class?
Good. So it's 26 per class, and we are going to have an instructional guide as well as an instructional aid. So we're going to offer a lot of support, and then we'll have a Spanish an integration teacher who will also be float in and out of the classrooms. So.
For the district and state assessments, how are those issued to the Montessori children differently, or is it the same as the rest of the public school children?
You know what? It's going to be the same. Our DIBELS assessment, which is a one-on-one assessment, that's going to look the same. And they'll start with NWEA, which is an assessment that kind of checks on growth and comprehension. That will typically happen on the computer, and that doesn't happen until first grade. And then with our state assessment, our AZ Merit, that will happen in 3rd grade, and typically in a whole group setting.
Do they have access to computers?
You know what? That's a great question. Because we are a public school, again, we will have access. I think we're going to have some iPads, but they will not be in the classroom. We'll have an integration lab, so they will work with the classroom teachers or the Spanish integration guide to have that exposure. But in the classroom, that's a kid's time to concentrate. It's their time to explore, and it's they're zoned in. So.
Hi, two questions. One just on the meals. Is there dietary restriction accommodations at all, or is it a pretty standard meal plan?
Absolutely. We would take, I know we have a lot of kids with needs, so it would just be, we definitely would work with our kitchen staff and take that under consideration. And children are also welcome to bring their lunch from home. However, a big part of our day is being able to eat together and socialize together during that time.
Okay, and then one more for the Kid Zone, if I could. Just is there anything pre 7:50, or is it all just after?
I think because it's such a long day for our preschool kiddos, and I don't know if I mentioned this, breakfast starts at 7:30, so children and families will be invited to eat with us.
I'm thinking of my 3-year-old. What does the day look like as far as breaks or recesses? Like a 3-hour block and a 2-hour block would be really long for him.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting for me.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So we're still in the works of a schedule, but what's going to happen is that they'll eat at 11:30, and then they're going to have a break or a recess for sure. And then we're going to have a nap time for the kids who are 3 and 4. It's not going to be a necessary time, but if they need to nap, we're going to honor that time. And then once they wake up, they will integrate back into the classroom. So that your kids are exhausted. Oh, yeah, hold on. Yeah. Can you speak in here? I don't know. Where's the microphone?
Okay. I don't know if I want to do that. But just in case you're not aware of the Montessori environment, and especially we've been really intentional in the design plan for the new building and the new program. But children in a Montessori environment have access to the outdoor environment on a regular basis. So it is not like you only are allowed to go outside. We are going to have a recess time, and we'll talk with Jen and the rest of the staff about when that will be, before lunch, after lunch, whenever. But during the day, they'll have access to the outdoor environment, so they'll be able to do that whenever they need to.
Thank you. I actually missed that. So there is an outside classroom as well, and it's going to be fluid back and forth throughout the day. Thank you very much. I missed that. Yes.
What is needed for registration on March 1st?
Registration. You need to bring your shot records. You need to bring proof of residence. You need to bring a birth certificate. And I think that might be the 3 major things. Immunizations, birth certificate, proof of address, information at any, if there are medical needs, and any illegal document that's needed for custody court, or if you are a legal guardian. So, and we will pass these out tonight, so you can take one home, you can bring it filled out. That would probably be the best, and then you're all set to go for March 1st.
When you start phase 2 and you start the 6 to 9 children, how are you going to accept are you going to accept new children from other Montessori environments?
Absolutely, we will. The experience would be, we will honor our own kids,
yes,
and then we'll probably go through the same process. However, Montessori experience, we absolutely want that within the next phase. I have to mention something that everybody needs to really hear. But yeah, so that's going to be, yes. The answer is yes. A big thing also for the 3-year-olds, they have to be potty trained by the beginning of school, which is August 7th. So work on that. That could be a task.
Is there a strict attendance policy for the 3-year-olds?
Well, it's critical that kids are at school every day. Obviously, you're paying for it, but your kid is going to benefit if they're there daily. That's going to help them, again, build their concentration, build independence, and actually build on their skills. So yes, it's critical that they're there every day. It is a 5-day, it's a Monday through Friday program, all day.
Hi, I have 2 questions. Both are about certification.
Okay.
So one, you mentioned that your teachers were, so they'd be like primary certified teachers?
They are.
So when you are hiring or planning to hire for the upper grades, are they going to be also certified in Montessori?
Absolutely.
They'll have a Montessori.
Yeah,
like
because it is
else.
a public school, they do have to have a 4-year teaching degree, as well as, because they're specialized, they also have a Montessori degree. So they have like tons of, they're so smart and have so much experience.
Hi. For the screening, do we bring our kids to the registration, or will that be
at a later date?
You know what? We're actually not going to screen kids, but there is going to be a questionnaire, and I ask you to please be as honest as you possibly can, because we need to know your child and we need to know your family structure, and we need to make the very best placement for kids. So that will be, we're no longer having a screening, but good question. Priority? A good question. Where first we have to look at the neighborhood kids, and then we have to look at our district employee kids, and then that could be a consideration. We do have to, again, we have to look at the balance of gender. We have to look at the balance of age. So yes, that would be a consideration. There are lots of factors considered.
But if the person that did have Montessori experience, or that did not have Montessori experience, registered first, would they have priority over somebody that was right behind them that did not have Montessori?
You know, good question. Like I said, there are lots of factors. You know, of course, there is an advantage, to have that experience. But that is something that we will be discussing again, looking at the needs of the child, looking at the needs of the family, and looking at the needs of what we have left in the classroom. So, but that definitely is a bonus for sure.
So on the same topic, on March 1st, does it matter which time we come in? Is the timing factored into?
March 1st is going to be a big day in here. But, like I said, everybody's going to be given a number that day, and it doesn't guarantee a placement in the classroom. It's the number that you have to actually talk to people, fill in your paperwork, and be there.
Okay, but does it make a difference then?
Does it make a difference?
First come,
That's a
first served.
tricky question. Again, there are so many different factors that consider that are part of that.
Hey, if you can wait till you get the microphone to ask a question because it's hard to hear.
And we are recording the information session that will be uploaded so that people who aren't here, or if you want to watch again, that you can review it. So we do need you to use the microphone.
Do they have to be up to date on immunizations?
Yes, they do by the time they start school. By the time they start school, which is August 7th. And something else I want to add about that, they have to be 3 years old and 4 years old by August 7th, and they have to be 5 by September 1st. So that's something that everybody needs to know. Yeah.
So before they leave, I want to go back to the gentleman's question about the number. Does it matter? I mean, are we like camping out the night before like an iPhone release, or we show up at like 3:35 right before things close and people get out for the day? We all kind of in the same boat?
Yeah. So the number is significant. It is. Your number guarantees you a spot in line for that day. And based on our priority for that day, number 1 is going to have a lot better chance of getting in the number 52. Right? So yes, the answer to that is yes. I also wanted to the registration packets are also online, so you can download them and fill them out in that way as well if you'd prefer. But a completed packet with your documents will make the process go much quicker. We will have copy machines here to copy the required documents, but we would like to have you in and out as quickly as possible, knowing that you do have to work or you have other obligations. This isn't meant to be a marathon, right? So we will do our best to make it a quick and easy process for you once we open the doors.
Now it's back to me here, huh? Yes.
I have twins, so if we were lucky enough to be at the front of the line and be considered, how would that work for how they would be placed in classroom? Is that parent choice or is that teacher choice, or how do you guys work that?
Oh, you know what? Let me hand it over to Misty.
I would say, again, we go back to the classroom setup. So we generally don't allow parents to dictate classroom decisions like that because you don't have access to the same information that we do as far as the needs of the individual children within the program and within each classroom. So, but it will be part of the discussion. If you think at some point they're better together, we'll consider that. If you think at some point, okay, now they're older or something, maybe they're better apart, we take their individual personalities in. So it's something that we can definitely talk about. Well, that's when we talk about the questionnaire, about being honest and saying, you know, they're really probably going to, you know, they're 3, they've never been apart, it's going to be stressful for them. All of those things are really critical that you're honest because, like Jen was saying, that we cannot, you're our best guides for the children at this point because we've never met your children. We've never worked with them. We've never been with them. So we need your information, and then based on our knowledge and our experiences, that's where we'll place them on those. So it's really important.
And our goal, again, is to nurture the whole child and do whatever's best to help them in the early childhood development. So be as honest as you can. That would be great.
Hi, a couple questions. So first, you said K-6. I know all of our middle schools are 6-8. So what does that look like for a kid? Are they entering middle school in 7th grade then and not in 6th grade? And are there hopes for this program to be extended beyond 6th grade? And then my final question is, what does it look like for a 6th grader who's only experienced Montessori education entering a traditional education environment? What does that look like for their success?
So in phase 1, we have explained the plan. In phase 2, we will look at our 6 to 9-year-olds, and after that, the 9 to 12-year-olds. What we have come to understand from our Montessori partners, and that's what I would like to call them at this time, is that after the 6th grade, they have found that something like an IB program is a great transition for those students. And because we currently have an IB program in our district, that would be what we would look for that program. Now again, we're in phase 1 of what would end up being 3 phases. It does not mean that our goal at this point is to get through the 12-year-olds. There isn't a yes, no on after that about what it might look like. We have a commitment to offering choice to all kids, and so this is our start to that. We want to be, we don't want to compromise any part of that process, but I do know that when you're starting your kids in an educational experience, you want to know what that's going to look like. So I'm asking you to hang in there with that to the 6th grade, knowing that we, as we learn and grow as well, know that our Montessori children are well-rounded when they, after this experience, they're able to negotiate many situations, and we have lots of choices in Tempe for them after the 6th grade.
Let me just finish addressing your question. I have a niece and nephew that went through a Montessori program up to 6th grade in the Mesa district. At 7th grade, they transitioned into a college prep or an IB thing. Did quite well, transitioned smoothly, no bumps, no lumps or anything. It was just, they were actually a little bit ahead of their peers by the time they got done with the Montessori. The Montessori typically is a little bit above the other curriculums, the general traditional curriculums. So now they're on to college and almost full ride scholarship. So if that gives you kind of a picture of where you start. And they started at the very beginning with the Montessori. So.
Thank you so much. Okay, here's our next question.
I also have 2 questions. One is, most kindergartens now, the expectation is the child will be able to read and write by the end of kindergarten. So how does that work in a Montessori environment? And also for children who are already on an IEP, will you be able to accommodate that? And also, will that affect
the decision on how they are enrolled?
Well, we're going to look at, first of all, what's best for kids. So, we are a public school, so we would be able to accommodate needs. And then what I've seen, I'm telling you, kids are reading and writing at the end of kindergarten. I can have, my guide here talk to that, but they are exposed to early reading skills. They're exposed to phonics. They're exposed to a phonemic awareness. They are well prepared in an environment that is nurturing and that's accommodated and individualized specifically for her. So I've seen really good success.
Hi, I have 2 questions as well. Okay, thanks. The first one is, I have a daughter who's already in a private Montessori preschool, and I'm just concerned, what are the big differences I'm going to see if we were to get in between in a school district, a public school district Montessori school, and then my private school? Is there going to be a huge difference between that?
You know what? We really believe in Montessori, and we are so excited about this. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference at all. Besides, we are a public school, so that's going to be the biggest difference. As they get older, we are going to, have to test your child. But we, like I said, we hired the very best guides, and we are staying true to the philosophy of Montessori. So I think that transition will be seamless.
Okay, and then the other question is, so she's a November baby. Are there any exceptions for entering kindergarten? Or
They have to be 5 by September 1st.
Just being a public school over here.
Oh, I'm like, I need eye contact, okay.
Do you guys follow the Tempe School District calendar as
Yes.
far as breaks?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Yes, we do.
How many children will you take that have IEPs, and will you have services on site for those children?
You know what? I'm not sure about if we will have services on site. However, we will provide either if it's an itinerant or a traveling teacher. And I'm not sure about that question. Again, it depends on what kids we are and the priority placement, as well as the gender in the classrooms, as well as the age. But we would not discriminate against kids with special needs.
Hi, my question is about young kindergartners. If you have kids who are 5 by September 1st, but maybe they turn 5 like on August 28th or something, and maybe aren't ready to either start kindergarten, whatever that looks in Montessori, or I guess that's especially it. So if they start, let's say at age 3, they go 3, 4, and 5, what does that look like if they really need like a pre-K scenario versus actual kindergarten? Do they just stay?
Well, it's because it's a multi-age environment. We take kids where they come, and we nurture them and move them along to what their needs are. So honestly, a multi-age would be the best thing for your student. And then as they go into the next phase, again, it's a multi-age experience. It's not really based on the skills progress with the child, just the multi-age classroom changes.
Okay.
The grades. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great.
My question is specifically to you, and I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit. I just want to know about your experience personally, your professional background related to Montessori, and if you could talk to us a little bit about that.
Good question. So I have been in the Tempe School District since 97. I was a kindergarten teacher, so I am an early childhood person. I spent some time, I taught at ASU in the undergrad department. I taught a reading practicum class. I taught a science methods class, and then I also taught a developmental social and developmental practices and the inclusive early childhood classroom. I spent time as a reading arts coach, so I consulted with teachers, and my emphasis was always the primary. And I am currently the assistant principal at Scales Technology Academy here in the school district. And this opportunity came up. I know a lot about Montessori, however, I've never taught it, but I am a huge supporter. I believe in it. And if I had a child, I would be here tonight enrolling my student. So, and like I said, we have the very best people, and I'm so excited and honored to have this opportunity.
Sorry, one more question, two more questions. Is there any half-day options for your young ones, the 3-year-olds, or is it going to be full-time from when you enroll them?
It's a full-time.
Okay.
It's a full-time day.
And then are there tuition discounts for district employees?
No, unfortunately not. Discounts for district employees.
Okay, 2 questions. So if one of my older sibling would get in, next year would my younger sibling be guaranteed a spot?
They would definitely have a higher priority than other students, for sure.
Okay. And then since they are Tempe School District, can they use the busing system?
Because we are a specialty school, we are not going to be able to provide busing.
So my question is in the same direction. Since we're out of neighborhood, if the child gets enrolled in first grade in the 6 to 9, he's in, and he keeps going, or every year we have to go through the same process?
Once he's in, your child is in and enrolled.
And so, okay, thank you.
Hi, sorry, I have a couple questions. So one, in the other Tempe schools, Fridays are half days. Is that the same case in the preschool program?
Yes, it will.
So how would that impact nappers? Like, because it's a late half day.
That's a good, so our half day is going to be at 2:10. We're going to just have to, and I understand napping and I know young kids, so we're going to have to somehow, that's going to be something that we're going to have to figure out. We'll probably start waking them up, I'm guessing. It would be a shorter nap time on Fridays, but they would still have the opportunity to rest, absolutely, for sure.
Okay, so it wouldn't, okay, so it'd be 2:10. And then a secondary, actually, I have 2 questions. The secondary is a quicker question. Will the school look to be certified by AMI or AMS?
Yes, that's our goal.
You're not currently.
No, but that's our goal right now.
That is a 3-year process, so you cannot become certified as initially as you start. That is our goal. And so we are doing everything by the book to ensure that in 3 years we're able to apply for that certification.
And lastly, so and this is so I know that in other Tempe schools, teachers get observations and feedback from principals and directors. So I'm just wondering, provided that while you have the sort of elementary or the early ed certification, provided that you're not Montessori certified, how would that work? Would that same kind of teacher training and professional development practices still be in place?
Absolutely. Our goal is for Miss Whittington to actually become Montessori trained in that directress role. So she will actually be attending in March the National Montessori Conference, and that is her start in that journey. But it is our goal that everyone is appropriately trained.
Thanks. Could you go into the background for Meyer Elementary and why it closed, and whether or not this is Tempe's first foray into Montessori, the school district anyway?
Let me introduce our superintendent, Chris Bush.
That's a great question. I spent a year trying, after all the schools were closed in 2011, then I became the superintendent. So prior to that, we spent a lot of years having community committees to talk about what parents hoped for and choice for their kids. And so after 2009, our enrollment started growing again in 2011. and we set on a path of creating educational pathways for our kids. Meyer is the last school that we closed to be reopened. So we repurposed the 4 schools that were closed or reopened them as we did at the McCamey campus for Tempe Academy. Meyer School, back in 2009 when the economy was so bad and we had lots of open seats in the district, and so for budget purposes, the decision was made by the board and the superintendent at the time to close. We closed Evans, Bustos, McCamey, and Meyer. What we've done with Meyer for the last 2 years is we've utilized the site to house First Laird School last year and Arredondo this year as we rebuilt their schools, with the intention of that Montessori would be the next phase of our providing choice for our community. And we've really tried to create educational pathways to the high school district so that our kids, even though we're separate districts, our kids would have a seamless transition to the same kind of program if they chose to. And Montessori, what I was going to step in earlier and I decided to wait, but we've been in conversations with the high school district for the last 6 years really about educational pathways. I don't know how many of you know, but there was a conversation and actually a committee at the high school district a few years ago to study Montessori high school. It didn't become a priority for for the high school community because, as Bernadette said, when kids start to age out of the Montessori program, and we found this with traditional school as well, that really parents and students are looking for that high middle years and then high school years in a different kind of framework. So that's the background of Meyer, and we're really excited to be reopening it. We've worked really hard at it, and our community has been very supportive of the new initiatives that we've put in the district. So.
Hi, I live in the Meyer neighborhood, and we've seen all the kids coming and going from the school, and we've been there 4 years, so we're really excited it's opening. My question is, I've seen them refurbish the playgrounds. Are they going to be doing anything with the interior of the school, or we know it's kind of run down? So
it's going to go under construction in May, and we are turning into a true Montessori school. I don't know. Did I answer your question? Okay, great.
And it is because of the generosity of our community passing our bond in November.
Yeah. So thank you.
I have a question. Basically, in a classroom, what will be the teacher to student ratio, and the teacher, whoever would be the ma'am who will be looking after it, would she be all Montessori certified? Or how it would be?
The instructional assistant, they won't be. However, they go through extensive training. So we will have the instructional guide as well as the instructional assistant in the classroom, and they are both, they work like a married couple. They're married all day, and they both are there to provide for their student and facilitate learning. And the ratio, it's going to be 2 to 26 children.
So like both the teachers would be primary, or how exactly it's going to be like?
I'm sorry?
Like both the teachers, like two, as you said, it's going to be 2:26. So that it means there will be 2 teachers, right? So
yes,
both the
2 teachers in every classroom. So it's 2 classrooms for every, 2 teachers for every 26 children.
Okay, and both will be, like, only one of them will be certified, or as you said, that both will be going
Only the instructional guide is the certified. However, our instructional assistants, they go through extensive training as well. So they can support the child, and most of all support the instructional guide. Okay. Did I answer your question? Okay, great.
Hey, she had brought up napping, and I totally overlooked that. So what does nap time look like for the kindergartners and the non-nappers?
So in kindergarten, they're not going to nap unless they absolutely need to nap. So it's really for the 3 and 4 year olds. And so that's something that we're thinking about right now. We are either going to do, we're going to have a napping room. And so as they awake, they're going to be integrated back into the 2-hour block of learning in the afternoon. So they're not forced to stay there. Because I know every child is a little bit different when it comes to that.
I wanted to see if you're going to be able to accommodate the local preschools to drop off children in the morning.
You know, if your family or if the family chooses to do that, absolutely, there will be access to drop off. But we just won't provide busing from our district.
Okay, thank you.
Because the 3 and 4-year-olds have to be signed in. So will the bus, whoever's dropping them off in the van, sign in, or how will that work?
Yes, they would sign in, but when you're on your registration forms, that's going to have to be on there that they're able to pick up and drop off, because it will be a sign in, sign out for the 3 and 4-year-olds. So that will definitely be. We'll probably do like a curbside, I'm guessing. So we'll have a person out there signing as kids enter.
No, you're good.
What?
But as we grow the program, there's going to be all kinds of things that could be possible. So our hope is that right now, Kids Zone in our standard schools, Kids Zone provides a before school and after school program, but we have a large number of kids in those schools. So as the program grows over the next couple of years, we certainly will be able to have early childhood, or we'll be able to have early morning child care at some point. But we're building the program, and money is always an issue. So we're trying to do it, provide this great program, but doing it in a way that's cost effective and beneficial for the community.
When would the campus be open for a tour?
As soon as it's built, actually. You know, it's going under. Is that me? I think it might be me. It's going under construction in May, and so they're going to be working all summer long. So as soon as it's ready and safe, people will be ready for tours, available for tours. So I'm guessing like a week before school. But I'll tell you, based on the blueprints, it's going to be a beautiful place, very organic and natural for children. So it's going to be a showcase, which will be great.
Could you help me better understand how the English as a second language will work, as well as in the more traditional schools, the kids get specific art, music, that kind of instruction? How will that work?
So we're going to have an innovation room, and the instructional guide, they will be in charge of doing PE and music, and then we're going to have a Spanish integration teacher. And so we're still working on how that's going to look, but I believe they're going to be pushing in the classroom, and because it's an inside-outside classroom experience, they're going to be immersed with it all day long. So again, it's not going to be a direct instruction, whole group instruction. It's going to be more of a fluent, it's going to be more of a one-on-one immersion program. That's the way I'm thinking, but we're still under the works. But it's going to be really great for our students to be exposed all day.
It's my understanding that there really is no direct line of communication between the parents and the teachers, that it actually goes through the director. That sounds a little bit like playing telephone.
Actually, well, we encourage, you know, as we said, parents, we want them on campus. They are an integral part of the Montessori school and of Meyer Montessori school, as well as our district. Again, when children are working in the block time, they are concentrated, they are focused, and they are working. But teachers are available before and after school. They will conference with parents. All of those things will look like in a traditional school. So you will have access to school, to the instructional guides.
I think the difference is when you think about what that breakfast experience and even that play experience, it's their learning has started. And so depending on where that student is in that learning and what they're doing, that teacher wants to engage with the children at the time from the moment they get there, their learning starts. So I know that when you look at the very traditional models, like it's the state, it's one of those things. It's when is it happening? What is happening with children? There are 26 kids. It's a 1 to 13 ratio. And you might have a question about your individual child, but that guide may be very specifically working on a skill with another student. So it's not the stay away, it's what the learning that's occurring at the time. So we don't ever want it to be seen as go through the directress and not for those reasons. I just want you to think about the bigger individual needs of each child and how that guide is meeting them from the moment that they're dropped off to when they leave at the end of the day.
So there's still traditional parent-teacher conferences?
Yes, there are. Mhm.
And the conferences will happen once in the fall and once in the spring. Report cards as well, yes.
Hi, my question is, how are you attracting and keeping your qualified teachers?
Because we're going to be great.
But how?
How? I think our district, first of all, our district offers incredible support for teachers. And I think with having parents who are involved and invested, and I guess, and with myself, like offering the ultimate support for a support team. So, and I have to tell you, our teachers had other like choices, and they chose us. So we are so lucky and fortunate. Did I answer your question?
One of those things, because you talk about, we're starting, right? And where we may be starting on this journey, you might already be on that journey with your child's education and may even be thinking about, am I moving a child? Am I starting a child? And so very important decisions on your part. One of the jobs I was given was to start the Montessori, Meyer Montessori. I'm the executive director of instructional excellence. It's become personal. We are going to have a Montessori program, and it will be the best, meaning we actually went out to other schools even and looked at what great teaching looks like in a Montessori classroom. And said, that is what we want to do. That is who we want in our classrooms. We're hired a consultant to say, what does everything in the classroom need to be? We're not guessing at this. Ordering all materials, making sure everything is exactly how it should be, meeting with architects about lighting and nature and all of those things with safety, knowing that in 3 years, the only thing is going to show is that you're happy, your kids are moving forward, they are being successful, and we have AMI or AMS certification to show when they come to visit that we are doing what Montessori programs should be doing. And so it's hard to say how are we recruiting right now. We raised our salaries for all of our teachers to try to be competitive within the East Valley, but it's a little bit bigger than that in that you're going to sell our program, right? Your kids will be selling the program because they're going to be successful. That's how any program moves forward by its kids, our customers. And so we know that you're going to be taking that leap of faith. And we just want to assure you that each and every one of us are committed to assuring that you have a great experience in a Montessori program. So what we have to do because we're a public school in testing will be minimal. What we will be doing in district initiatives that aren't Montessori will be nothing. It will be a Montessori school in a public school setting.
So my daughter is 4 and also a November baby, like someone said. So if you start as a 4-year-old with Montessori being grouped together like that, is it when they turn 5, are they automatically a kindergartner, or they're still a preschooler for that year? So you're basically paying tuition for the full year if you start as a 4-year-old. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Hi.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for opening up Meyer Montessori. I live in the Meyer neighborhood. My husband went to Meyer as a child, so we are so excited to kind of continue this. I do have a question about you. You briefly addressed it earlier, but I was hoping to get some more detail. We just found out that my son he has an IEP for speech services. He needs articulation. So I know that you're not quite sure how that model works, but if registration happens March 1st, which is coming up really quickly, for me to feel a little bit more comfortable, I kind of need a little bit more clarity as to what that would look like. Or maybe a time frame as to when that could happen.
So we've had the discussion. It's not a guess. Montessori should and does accept and embrace all students. That is part of its foundation and philosophy. So knowing that we are going to have students with special needs, and we are a public school, then we are obligated to serve those students. Now, I can't commit to what does that program look like because I don't know if it's 1 kid or 10 kids and what their different needs are because they are on individualized education plans. But we will meet that obligation to meet every student's need. So if they and they come forward with, again, based on that priority and how they fall in, if they're accepted, then we'll meet the need.
I just want to say I'm really, really impressed with everything. I've been a public Montessori teacher for 10 years, mostly at public schools. I teach upper elementary. Our oldest two did Montessori. One of them was on an IEP. Always the services were provided excellently, and beyond that, our oldest graduated from high school with an associate degree. He was very well prepared. He credits his love of chemistry from practical life exercises. I'm very, very impressed with what I see, and I think you guys are doing just a wonderful job, and I'm excited to see it all roll out. I see it starting the correct way. As someone with primary training, elementary training, you guys are, I was thinking I was going to ask a lot of hard questions and, maybe poke a couple holes or something, but really you're thinking about every single detail and doing this correct, so thank you.
Thank you so much.
When if one of your children gets enrolled this year, will they have preference next year as a sibling?
So again, as a choice school, we follow the priority list, knowing that in our policy, siblings aren't part of that. So we would follow what our policy is, which is the 3 items that we have listed. But in all practicality of what we do in implementing, we know what's best for families, and that's what we want to do. We want to also look at, we're trying to create a community, and we don't create a community by separating families. So that will always be something that we consider.
In our current policy for our schools that have open enrollment right now, there is a priority for siblings. It's not at this juncture because siblings aren't an issue right now, but that will be infused back into the priority list for this school as well, just like it is for all our other schools. So siblings fall after district employees.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well, my apologies. I got here a little bit late, so I missed part of the registration thing. So what I get is, we get here at 8. We get a number. Now, say if we get a later number, do we have to wait a few hours then to register? How does that? And then what's the screening part of it?
Okay, just to reiterate, no screening process, right? There will be a questionnaire that we're asking parents to provide key details to so that we can learn as much about your child and your desires for your child as we consider them for Montessori. The numbers, once you get a number, it really gives you, because you're going to be coming into this room, and we don't want to have to be 1, 2, 3, you're going to come in and sit. We will be calling numbers, and again, want that process to go very quickly. So it's not going to take hours. Unless you come and you haven't filled out any part of the the registration information, or the possibility is also if you come and you say, oh, I got here and oops, I forgot my birth certificate, I have to leave, your number holds your space. That's what we keep saying all day. That number is your number all day. You're not going to lose your space to run out and do something. It's your number all day until 4 o'clock to get your registration packet in that order. And then we go through the priority. So once again, important that you're here there, and get your number and get your stuff in, and then we will be notifying by March 17th. And so an accurate phone number is probably the best way, and then because snail mail will still be done, but we would prefer to do a phone call and then follow up with mail.
Sorry, just one more point of clarification. You said you're opening 3 primary classrooms this year. Is that your plan in phase 3? So are there going to be more primary classrooms opening year 2, or is it going to be consistently 3 throughout?
Our plan right now is 3 throughout. However, if we find that there's a greater need when we start and then it narrows down a bit, then we might, but we want to have a complete program. So our plan right now is 3, 3, and 3. Pam, behind you.
For the Kids Zone, is it for the 3 and 4-year-olds, and what's the cost for full-time?
It's
Is it the same?
Oh, Kids Zone. That's a Kids Zone question. The cost for Kids Zone for 3 and 4-year-olds. And Kids Zone will also be here on March 1st for registration.
Yes, we'll be here on March 1st also, and the cost is $223 a month for 5 days after school.
So we're going to take a final question.
Sorry, I hope this wasn't already asked. I know that the ratio is going to be 2 to 26 for the children's house, but when you get to the upper levels and the other phases, will that still stay the same, or will that ratio change?
You know what? That's a good question. I'm thinking we're looking at 2 to 30 children at that. Or well, an instructional guide, an instructional aide, and 30 children. So I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and we will see everyone on March 1st. Thank you so much. Registration packets are at the door, so please have them filled out. And Bernadette, are my cards in the registration? And I do have my business cards up front if you would like to grab one. Thank you so much for coming tonight.